Hello everybody, this is Dr. Cole. It's Sunday afternoon, October 16th. Now entering week 9 of Political Science 1013 on the 16-week schedule for the fall 2022 term. All right everybody, we should be through with the midterm exam by now. We were running that yesterday and the day before, Friday and Saturday. So now we can embark on the second half of the course that's going to cover units 5, 6, 7, and 8. Leading up, of course, to the final exam. So we're now embarking on Unit 5 on the presidency, and we will have a quiz and a discussion, as we do for all 8 of our units related to Unit 5. I've got messages out about that as of this morning, I believe, that you should have received. If you have not, check your inbox. We've got quite a bit of time on the syllabus for this unit. It runs through the 29th. Which is almost 2 weeks. Our quiz 5, is scheduled for the 29th, and you have 3 things to read for the quiz. I'll perhaps say more about that next week. We will run a discussion Saturday through Monday, so that discussion will be underway when I speak to you a week from now at this time. We're going to talk in the discussion about the speech that President Biden gave back on September 1st. It's been 6 weeks ago now or more. I believe I gave an extra credit opportunity about that speech at that time, and a couple of you took me up on it. So you were asked to look at some articles pro and con about the speech, and an article about how the speech came about, and discuss some of the questions about the speech that I put to you in the announcement about that discussion. All right, let me say just a word about what we're trying to do in Unit 5, everybody. We start out by discussing the office of President in general and some of the recent presidents, going back to President Carter, all the way through Obama, Trump, and Biden. We then look at what the Constitution has to say about the president and presidential powers as granted in the Constitution, especially with regard to national security and foreign policy. We also, at the beginning of that unit, touch on the different roles that the president is asked to play. We ask the president to do many different things, some of which are laid out specifically in the Constitution and some of which are not. Some of them are expectations that have become attached to the office of president over the passage of time. As one political scientist said, the president wears many hats. Okay. Now, I try to talk about the presidential election. Of course, we have a unit on participation. The presidential election is different from any other election, if for no other reason than the length of time over which it's stretched out. Because we have to go through a long process of choosing the presidential nominee of each party, which takes place at the nominated convention the summer before the general election. So that will all be taking place in the summer of 2024. And at that point, we're ready for the general election campaign. The traditional date of that often has been placed as Labor Day, but practically speaking nowadays, they get started much earlier than that. Now, before we get to the nominating conventions, we have the process of nominating delegates to the convention to vote for who the presidential nominee will be. And those delegates are chosen in the primaries, which take place earlier in the presidential election year. Some states have caucuses, others have primaries. So the election takes place in November. We start the presidential primaries back in February. And the process of getting a campaign organization together and getting ready to run in the primaries will begin much earlier than that. As a matter of fact, we're about to have the midterm elections in about 3 weeks' time, and we expect that people will begin declaring their candidacy for president shortly after that. Of course, everyone is waiting to see what former President Trump will do. It's expected he may declare his candidacy shortly after the midterm election. The thing about it is, if he declares, he will be the favorite for the Republican nomination, and President Biden will be the favorite in his party should he decide to go ahead and run for re-election. So I don't know how competitive it will be in each party in 2024. But anyway, we've assigned a chapter textbook on the presidency and a few pages from the chapter on elections where it talks about the presidential election campaign in particular, because that particular campaign is so unusual and is stretched out over such a long period of time. Then after that, in this unit, we try to discuss resources that the president has available to him or her. If, for instance, the president is interested in trying to pressure members of Congress to pass a bill that the president supports that we would call an administration bill, one that the administration would support. We also discuss the apparatus around the president, the helpers that the president has, largely within the executive office of the presidency. And that includes many small bureaucratic agencies, including the White House staff, the National Security Council, the Budget Office, the Office of Management and Budget, and some other entities that we discuss, as well as the Cabinet, the organization made up mainly of the President and the secretaries of the 15 cabinet level departments and a couple other people, which we mention at the very end of that unit. All right, so that's what we're doing in Unit 5. The discussion will run the 22nd through the 24th. That's this coming Saturday through Monday, a week from tomorrow, or a week from this Monday, the 17th. Okay. The 22nd through the 24th, and then the quiz for Unit 5 will be Saturday the 29th. I believe that is a Saturday. Okay. All right, so the 22nd through the 24th for the discussion, and the 29th for the quiz. We'll perhaps say a bit more about the material assigned for the quiz when we talk to you a week from now at this time. So I hope you will take part in the discussion and look at the lecture notes and textbook pages assigned for Unit 5 on the presidency. Take it easy. We'll speak to you again a week from now at this time.